Alfredo Albiani, la persona che...
Alfredo Albiani is obviously an expert in his field and represents really a sort of cross-spectrum alliance between bio foods, healthy lifestyle, and so forth. In Tuscany, the group has made a major contribution to the work of the Health Committee, and the first public hospital specializing in integrated medicine. It has recently opened. It offers a lot of different potential therapies to people. I don't know whether any of you have had this opportunity to avail yourselves of any of these sort of treatments. It's not to be described as a new age initiative. It's just really back to greater health, something more, something better, a more genuine health response. It's not that we don't value everything that's been achieved in medicine hitherto, but we do think that this is a breakthrough at a global level, really moving somewhat away from the more chemical approach that we've seen to medicine in recent years. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Michele. Thank you, Fabio, for having invited me. I don't have many minutes, but I'd like to try to tell you a little bit about the experience we've gained over many years and the new paradigm shift that we've seen not only in Italy, but in Europe as a whole in this area. I will ask Sara to change the slides every so often. I have a whole series of them, and some of them are brief summaries of the risk that Europe is facing in health terms and where I'm hoping that we can go to tackle it. Some 50% of Europeans are at risk of suffering cancer, whereas autism was 1 out of 1,500 children. It's now 1 out of 60. This is an absolute tragedy. The increase in exposure to cancer affects children too. There's a much higher percentage of children suffering from cancer. This has gone up hugely the first 2 years of life. There's much more degenerative disease, much greater diagnosis of Alzheimer's, and we've been working on all these initiatives for a long time. We've been working on yoga and meditation as new initiatives in recent years, and we intend to build on this. I started studying medicine, but in the 80s, I took up the study of Chinese and Indian medicine and more ancient approaches to health and therapeutics. And we've developed a lot of clinical approaches which are very interesting and quite different. We've worked on fertility and oncology, and it appears clearly that in the area of oncology, for example, if somebody has suffered cancer, had an operation, and had chemotherapy and radiotherapy, doing yoga and having spiritual therapy can be extremely beneficial and can have a huge change. For example, the removal of a carcinoma from the intestine in a patient who was able to benefit from these new treatments we were providing has meant that they are still alive, quite against the original medical prognosis. So many medical research publications have shown how important all these initiatives are. And what I'm suggesting to you, if you look at this screen, is to look at all these different integrated and holistic approaches that we have. We're looking at a new way of the human body relating to its environment and trying to develop new technologies which could be universally applicable. A couple of days ago in the UK, some 5,000 teachers got some training on meditation so that they could teach the children about meditation, and this is something which I think will be a major step forward. Emotional health is vital, but of course all this has to be seen in a context, in a very real context, and Ecofuturo is trying to ensure that we're not looking at things in a vacuum or out of context, because everybody of course suffers from environmental pollution. Everybody suffers from all the adverse effects of modern life. In New York, for example, babies who were born in the center of New York, whose mothers had lived in New York during their pregnancy, these babies were twice as likely to suffer from autism. And it is thought that the genetic composition of the gametes is actually affected by the environment in which the parents are living prior to the conception of the child. Therefore, if we want the future generations in Europe to be healthy, then we need to ensure that everybody in society is as healthy as possible. So we need to take care of older people, we need to take care of middle-aged people and younger people, and we need to try to have a more pure approach to life and the way we treat our body. Now, this is not something new age, nothing like it. It's a question of therapy which will actually clean our bodies and our systems entirely. It's important to have exercise every day. It's not good enough just doing it a couple of times in the week. We should be working for 6 or 8 hours a day, and that's enough. We should be going to the gym, yes, but 40 or 50 minutes exercise a day in the gym is not enough. If you're having a sedentary existence all the rest of the time. And I think that it is very damaging at every age for people to have too sedentary a lifestyle. So we need to have an appropriate psychological and physical approach to how we treat our body for each different life stage. We have a lot of courses in place. We're working with hospitals. We're introducing a program in conjunction with the Grosseto Hospital. We're working with oncologists for post-operative therapies. We're working on a number of different programs in different areas, and some of the programs have already proved very successful. So in summary, we have a whole series of resources available to us, and we do need to use every resource to treat our body as best we possibly can. We need to ensure that we can relax our body, that we can put into it the optimal fuels, and that we can rebalance our body, that the chemical balance is correct, because this will then mean that the body can process good food, good nutrition properly, and can enable the body to function optimally. We will have the right minerals, we will have appropriate composition of our blood, we will breathe properly, our respiratory system will function properly, and then we will all be able to live a much more healthy lifestyle. Of course, we know that the environment is full of molecules and pollutants that shouldn't be there. And one of the things that I sincerely hope is that all the plastic bottles and much of the rest of the rubbish that's dumped in the environment will be removed. There's aluminium, which is also very damaging. So we would be much better using glass, because plastic is extremely damaging. Even bioplastic is not ideal. Studies have been done which have shown that bioplastics are not as damaging when they're used, but of course they need to be processed and disposed of definitively. And far too often people are just chucking them into the sea. The Mediterranean is absolutely chock-a-block full of plastic that's been chucked into the sea, and it can't of course be incinerated because it gives off toxic fumes, and even more natural plastics are not good for our bodies, let alone the environment. Therefore, we need to have a radical rethink, and Fabio Roggiolani's asked me to give you a few pointers just in a few minutes to try to do that. And I will really try, I think, to help you to understand how your body is responding to being abandoned by the way so many of us are abandoning our bodies to their fate. How many minutes do I have left? Well, if you say 2, give me 3. So can I just ask you to stand up, please? If you have a tight belt or something that's constraining your freedom of movement, perhaps you could loosen it off. We have a number of things that we can do, because our body is actually constructed and the ideal parameters. It's important that we are all in proportion as we are, and we have a balance within ourselves. So the next thing to do is separate your feet a foot and make sure that all your joints are straight in a vertical line beneath your shoulders. Most of you will probably tense your knees naturally, but don't do that. Untense your knees and ensure that your quadriceps and the back of your legs are relaxed. And then what you need to do is think about relaxing your spine and the back of your neck. Straighten your neck and reach your head up as close to the ceiling as you possibly can, as if you were trying to touch the ceiling. And then very, very slowly relax your arms to at the side of your legs and move very slightly to the front and very slightly towards the back, just like a pendulum. When you move forwards, I do this with groups all the time, I'm very used to doing it. When you move forward, try to feel as if there is something which is pushing you backwards. You will feel in your forehead a movement like a pendulum from the front to the back, and try to focus on the impulse that you're getting at the back of your head as you move forwards and backwards slowly, and come back to your point of equilibrium. In this position, with your knees tightened, you will be able to feel that your body is actually growing, that it is straightening out, and the effect of the muscles is to elongate so that you actually feel and appear to be taller. These muscles need a little time to relax and become more flexible and more ready to adapt and better suited to dealing with stress and tension. It takes a few weeks for all this to happen, but people say when they've been working in a strained atmosphere under a lot of tension, or for example high stress sport, or have had an accident, these sorts of exercises are extremely helpful because it actually can halve the time it takes to recover and is very good for helping your body to relax. If you can put your tongue on your palate behind your teeth and then breathe out whilst you're doing this, you will gradually move closer to the position of Tadasana, the mountain of stability position of yoga, which in Qigong is called Palarito. And this is a state of mind where you will be able to feel your breathing, and you will feel that the blood is not stopping in your ankles, the blood is circulating around your entire body. You will be able to feel impulses, and you will be able to feel your body elongating and becoming longer. And your perception will be that you are taller. And you can do this whether you're sitting down or whether you're standing. And this can actually be very helpful in alleviating pain in your ankles, your knees, your hips. And I'd like to thank you very much. And I hope that you've got a bit more in tune with your bodies. And I would love to see all of you again.
Gracias, Alfredo.